Through your generosity, the annual Catholic Appeal continues to serve our community.
I'm Diane Murray of Rick's Place. Rick Thorpe was a Wilbraham native who died on 9/11. In his honor, Rick's Place helps children and families suffering the loss of a loved one, all made possible through the annual Catholic Appeal.
The annual Catholic Appeal, assisting our neighbors here in Western Massachusetts. Visit diospringfield.org and make your donation today. Thank you for your support.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
I'm Steve Kiltonic. I'll have the latest developments taking place at Pope Francis High School.
Dan Dumas will be by with a look at what's happening in the Diocese of Springfield. And plans for a home where the terminally ill can receive shelter and care. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel to Reel. This past week was April school vacation, but the team in charge of opening the new Pope Francis High School this fall was still hard at work. In September, Cathedral and Holyoke Catholic High Schools will officially merge into Pope Francis High School in Chicopee. Students will temporarily be at this location for 2 years while the new Pope Francis building is being constructed in Springfield. Over the last several months, much has been going on behind the scenes to ensure that timetables on both fronts are being kept on schedule. Steve Kiltonic tells us now about the latest developments at the school.
The official opening of Pope Francis High School is 2.5 years away, but the work behind the scenes to consolidate the student bodies of Holyoke Catholic and Cathedral High Schools has been ongoing. A key component in the planning of the future of Pope Francis in Springfield and the 2-year temporary campus at Holyoke Catholic in Chicopee has been the Transitional Advisory Council, or TAC. Paul Gagliarducci approached Bishop Mitchell Rosansky with the idea for an advisory group when the Pope Francis project was first announced last June.
I said to the bishop that we needed to put together sort of a temporary board of trustees, a group that I could go to with specific ideas or issues, and either they could provide some recommendations for me or they could themselves take on the task to get the job done.
The 15 members of the TAC are comprised of former members of the Cathedral and Holyoke Catholic Board of Directors, alumni, business and education leaders, parents, teachers, and women religious. Jim Tortola, a longtime advocate of parochial education in the diocese, heads the group. The TAC has been hard at work on a number of important developments for Pope Francis. One is a new school model, which will make Pope Francis a true regional school.
We would include boundaries that are not only both of the former jurisdictions of Cathedral and Holyoke Catholic, but way outside of both of them.
A different model of governance will also be implemented at Pope Francis.
The school will be as close to self-governing as a school which is under the authority of the bishop would be. An analogy would be an order school, a school of a religious institute like the Zavarian Brothers. The school will be incorporated with the bishop as the single member of the corporation. A board of directors will govern the school, and it will do so in collaboration with a chief executive officer who will be known as the head of school.
Peter Bruneau heads the search committee for the new head of school. 10 people have been initially selected as candidates. The interview process has begun with the goal to finalize a candidate by mid-May. In addition to having high academic standards, the head of school will take on dual roles as chief fundraiser and spiritual leader.
We need someone who primarily can inspire the students who will be in that school. Someone with whom the students identify and respect and love. This person has to have significant experience as a business person, being able to run an enterprise. We know that the person has to have a deep spiritual life. So the head of school is going to be a very, very key person.
Tortolat said the selection process for the Pope Francis School Board is in its initial phase. Up to 21 people may be chosen. TAC member Pat Markey is a Cathedral alum whose oldest son is a senior at Cathedral. Another son is in the 8th grade at St. Michael's Academy. Markey said the process thus far has been very thorough.
I'm hopeful that this is going to be done right and it's not the seat of the pants. That's why this last year of planning has been so important to kind of anticipate everything, so that this really is a state-of-the-art high school with state-of-the-art academics that's going to produce graduates who will go on to great schools.
This past winter, sports teams from both schools competed together for the first time under the Pope Francis banner. It made an impression on Marky's youngest.
He and all his friends were ecstatic when they saw the logo for the Pope Francis Cardinals and couldn't wait to see that on their sports jerseys.
Currently, there is little activity at the Wendover Road site, but that will soon change. At a meeting held April 13th at St. Michael's Academy, the site design plans for Pope Francis were openly discussed with members of the East Forest Park Civic Association. Nearly 60 people heard Gagliarducci and other key members of the Pope Francis team lay out the details of what neighbors can expect to take place at the site in a not-so-distant future. Talk centered around the athletic fields. Because of a relatively small building footprint, the new school will feature individual softball and baseball diamonds. Football and soccer will share the lighted marquee field. An adjacent practice field will be surrounded by a 6-lane track and separate sprint lane. Pope Francis will not be a traditional high school. No more long hallways, but lots of common open space to work and relax. Paul Vachica, representing CBT Architects, said an important design element are the heritage walls, which will be displayed in the main lobby.
There's a lot of archival information that we'd like to bring into the building. We do want this continuum of students, both the Holyoke Catholic students, their alumni, the cathedral students and their alumni, and then ultimately they're going to form this new history, which is Pope Francis. There could be three-dimensional pieces, there's two-dimensional photographs.
According to David Owen, the owner's manager for Pope Francis High School, the building design is nearly complete. Fontaine Brothers, the construction manager at risk, will prepare an estimate for approval by the building committee by May 5th. Construction documents will be completed by the end of July.
Fontaine will then take the project and what's called shop it out to subcontractors, and we expect to start construction sometime late September, early October.
In 4 months, Holyoke Catholic and Cathedral will all be united here in this one building on Springfield Street in Chicopee. Somehow, some way, everything from both schools will fit. But moving things from Wilbraham here will be no small task. Bishop Rosansky is even letting students out a week earlier this year to help speed up the process. Ellen DeJura has the unenviable job of moving all the inventory at Cathedral: computers, smartboards, cabinets, everything from A to Z to the new Pope Francis.
We are deciding what things we're going to keep, what things we're going to sell, and what things we just might throw away.
At Cathedral, hundreds of items collected over the years are being stored in room 4.
We have tremendous amount of things like trophies, that there may be people from athletic teams that go back 20, 30, 40, 50 years that might be interested in buying that trophy or giving a donation, per se.
The sports legacies of both schools will be preserved at Pope Francis, with the trophy cases honoring all the team and individual achievements. But there's more than just sports memorabilia.
Cathedral used to have a band, a marching band, and a concert band, and all of that equipment is still there. So we're deciding what equipment we want to keep for the potential of maybe starting a band in the future. We have found upwards to maybe 7 to 8, 3 or 4 cabinet files of sheet music. So we're not going to shred that. We're going to try to sell it. We're going to keep what we think might be useful for us and sell the rest.
Stained glass windows, statues, and other items like mosaics will also be incorporated into the new building. Gagliarducci said many items may be available to purchase at a future auction. The proceeds will go toward future student programs or a scholarship fund. Also announced recently is a new program of studies for the 2016-17 school year, which will foster academic excellence and challenge students to grow spiritually and intellectually.
Something that has impressed me, and that has been the spirit and cooperation. There's just an awful lot of people working to make this happen. We've started basically from scratch, and we're building from the ground up. And it's been an amazing year so far.
As Pope Francis High School continues to evolve, one constant remains: the school motto, which was adopted early on: one mission, one community, one in Christ. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonick.
And to facilitate the merger and consolidation in Chicopee, both Cathedral and Holyoke Catholic will end their academic years about a week earlier this June. And you can find the latest developments and information on Pope Francis High School through a link on our website at iobserve.org. And still to come on Reel to Reel,
Dan Dumas takes a look at the latest from the Diocese of Springfield. And there's an app for that. A new approach to language lessons. These stories and more are still to come on this edition of Reel to Reel.
The Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Passionist Brother Terrence Scanlon, your Chalice host, inviting you to take time out of your busy days and join us Sunday morning at 10. We welcome Father Robert White, pastor of Our Lady of Mount Carmel Parish, as our celebrant. The Chalice of Salvation, your spiritual connection, Sunday morning at 10, right here on 22 News.
Through your generosity, the annual Catholic Appeal continues to serve our community.
I'm Judy Williams. At New Direction, we offer peer counseling, educational support, free pregnancy tests, limited ultrasound, as well as baby clothes, diapers, formula, and more, all made possible by the annual Catholic Appeal.
The annual Catholic Appeal, assisting our neighbors here in Western Massachusetts. Visit diospringfield.org and make your donation today. Thank you for your support.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Reel to Reel news brief. Last week, Providence Ministries' new teaching kitchen was formally opened during a ribbon-cutting ceremony with Bishop Mitchell Rosansky. Sharon Rulier was there and filed this report.
Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky said a blessing for the newly expanded FoodWorks teaching kitchen as members of the community gathered to celebrate the expansion of this 12-week culinary training program. FoodWorks helps prepare those with barriers to employment for a career in restaurant services. The program was begun by certified executive chef Ralph Webb.
Now that we got the kitchen open and the kitchen open, we now can hold all our classes down here. I've got a classroom space now and a training space. There's plenty more out there to be done. So I'm looking more and more to make this program bigger and better all the way through.
FoodWorks is just one of the programs operated out of Kate's Kitchen in Holyoke. So far, more than 40 students have been successfully placed into employment.
It moves beyond attending to the crises that families and individuals face in terms of food, shelter, and clothing. And it helps to begin to help people make the transition for gaining skills that will give them meaningful work. And when we give people meaningful work, it is the beginning of a whole new career for them and a whole new life.
And Sharon tells us the 6th class from this program graduated this past Wednesday. In other news, an interfaith dialogue inspired by the Jubilee Year of Mercy recently took place at Our Lady of the Elms College in Chicopee. Carolee McGrath reports.
The Holy One comforted mourners, for it is written, and it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed Isaac his son. So do you also comfort mourners. The Holy One.
Rabbi Deborah Jacobson, the director of spiritual life at Jewish Geriatric Services Life Care in Longmeadow, discussed mercy in the Jewish tradition at an interfaith forum held at Elms College Alumni Library. The program was called Looking at the Face of Mercy Through the Eyes of God, an Interfaith Dialogue.
The more we can remind each other of our commonalities and our similarities, much more than the differences that exist, I think those are good things to do and really help us underscore our humanity.
About 100 people attended the presentation. The other panelists included Father Warren Savage, chaplain at the Albert and Amelia First Interfaith Center at Westfield State University, and Imam Razul Saifullah from the Al-Baqi Islamic Center for Human Excellence.
So we cannot talk about the Christian perspective without contextualizing mercy in the Jewish perspective.
The presentation comes as Pope Francis announced the extraordinary Jubilee Year of Mercy, which began December 8th in 2015 and runs through November 20th of 2016. Father Savage, who is also a lecturer in the Religious Studies Department at the Elms, says the discussion is critical in the world today.
In his edict on the Year of Mercy, Pope Francis asked us to engage in interfaith dialogue around the concept of mercy, because he says in his edict that the answer to mercy is also found in the Jewish and Islamic traditions. It's important to have a wider perspective on how God's mercy is reflected across traditions.
Imam Saifullah is also an instructor and counselor at the Hampshire County House of Correction and a veteran of the United States Army.
Well, I'm a firm believer in interfaith, and I think it's the only way that we can right the ship, is that we need to be able to work with one another. If we believe in the same God, then we should be able to work with one another. So when we do things like this, they get to see that we're all the same. Most of the things that we believe in, all of us believe in.
Elms College Religious Studies Department sponsored the discussion in collaboration with the Office of Faith Formation of the Diocese of Springfield and the Interfaith Council of Western Massachusetts. I'm Carolee McGrath reporting.
Next up, as a reminder that we celebrate Easter for the full 50 days of the season, Immaculate Conception Parish in Indian Orchard hosted an Easter egg hunt. John Thornton tells us more.
How do we start the prayer? In the name of the Father and of the Son. Amen.
On Saturday, April 9th, Immaculate Conception Parish in Springfield held its first Polish-American Easter celebration. The event celebrated both Polish and American Easter traditions, starting after Mass with a classic American Easter egg hunt. More than 200 children, their parents, and grandparents took to the field, Easter baskets in hand, and collected eggs filled with candy. Father Daniel Seimer, the associate pastor at Immaculate Conception Parish, explained why this event is important for children.
God blessed us with a nice, shiny weather, no rain. That's why the kids enjoy it, and we do it for them, because they are the future of the church. And if the children come to the church, the parents also come with them. That's why we want them to have that positive image of the church.
After the egg hunt, the families gathered in the Pastoral Center for a traditional Polish meal, which included a steaming hot rye-based white borscht with kielbasa. The homemade meal also included salad, bread, potatoes, and roast chicken. Parishioner and parent of 2 children, Stasia Wojcik, said what she hopes her children take away from the event.
I hope that they get out of this event the togetherness of the family, and the fact that Easter is also a time of renewal, and going through and looking at ourselves as individuals, they should learn that it's always good to renew ourselves, come back to the church, and open ourselves to Christ.
Immaculate Conception Parish, located on Parker Street in Springfield's Indian Orchard neighborhood, offers Mass every week in English and Polish. Father Stanley Sokol, the pastor of Immaculate Conception Parish, explained why it is important to pass on their traditions to the next generation.
It is not only important, it is crucial for their formation. We all remember when we used to be children, our parents, our teachers, our priests used to teach us about these truths of our Catholic faith, and we may forget many things from what happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but we do remember those first days of our introduction to our faith.
In Springfield, I'm John Thornton.
And finally, congratulations to 2 young men, one a Cathedral High alum and the other soon to join their ranks. Matthew Weber, son of our very own Peggy Weber, has been nominated for a New England Emmy for his segment called Religiously Ticked Off, from his weekly show, The Lens. We'll learn June 4th if he wins. And congratulations to Brendan Markey, a member of Cathedral's class of 2016, who has received the prestigious Hesburgh-Usco Merit Award from the University of Notre Dame. Brendan, the son of Patrick and Jennifer Markey of Springfield, was one of 700 students vying for the award and one of only 30 recipients. He will attend the university in the fall. Well done to Matthew and Brendan. You can read more on both of these achievements on our website, iobserve.org. There you can always stay informed on all the happenings in the Catholic Church locally or beyond. That's our news and information website, iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and that's your Reel to Reel News Brief.
You are watching Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Here again is your Reel to Reel host, Sharon Rulier.
Learning a new language at St. Joan of Arc School in Chicopee requires no books, pencils, or paper. Instead, 8th grade students grab a laptop and headsets and log on for a fun, interactive challenge. As Kathy Harrington reports, lessons look more like a game than schoolwork.
Sam Fournier is learning Spanish the same way he plays video games, online. The 8th grade student at St. Joan of Arc School in Chicopee is one of 120 million people around the world using a free language learning platform called Duolingo. Sam and his classmates recently began their foreign language lessons using the interactive program that is tailored to each user. Engineered with a sophisticated algorithm, Duolingo tracks responses made by keyboard or voice, and it continually modifies the lesson.
Mismos. There's like a Spanish version of Siri on that, and she pronounces it, so like you learn how to pronounce it correctly.
Offered this semester as a pass-fail class, the inaugural step into online learning was made after the French teacher left the school. Mary Marr researched web-based options. The information technology and computer teacher says this was a perfect fit.
This is how they learn nowadays. This is great for them. They're more savvy and quicker to learn something like this than some of the older people.
School librarian Irene Rule serves as the language lab proctor and observes their progress.
From where I'm sitting, I can see every screen and I can see what they're doing on their screens, so I know they're working.
Ashley Chamelis completes 5 to 10 Spanish lessons a day, depending on the level of difficulty and her level of focus.
Sometimes like after school I'll be like really pumped because I did like a lot of lessons that day and I want to just keep going. That's the good thing about this is like you don't have to wait for the teacher, so if you want to just keep learning some more you can go home and do it yourself.
For now there are only 2 language choices, but next year students may choose one of 15 courses of study. By then, Ashley will be a freshman.
I'm going to Chicopee High, and one of the differences between high and comp is that you can take French in Chicopee High. And I used to take French when we had a teacher here, and I really liked it. I really like French, but I decided that like I'm going to apply Spanish more into my life than I will French. It's much more used, so I was thinking, well, I'm going to do Spanish this year. And so since I'm doing Spanish this year, I thought, why not carry it into high school? So I'm excited about that.
The more exposure to a language in the younger years before you get to high school, I would say can only help. And then maybe they'll get out of high school with really a good handle on Spanish.
I'm Kathy Harrington for Reel to Reel.
If you are interested in learning a language, Duolingo is free and available online. You can also download an app and learn on the go. And finally tonight, in this Jubilee year dedicated to mercy by Pope Francis, there is a local group working to ensure that those faced with terminal illness and who also may be alone will have a place to live their final days.
Well, good morning, Rita.
Ruth Willimane has been a hospice volunteer for many years, sitting by the bedsides of people in their last days, talking, listening, praying. Usually the terminally ill who have entered into hospice are in their own homes. But sometimes, Ruth says, patients in their final days have no one. One patient asked her to please come to her funeral because she didn't want to be in church alone. So Ruth, a parishioner of Our Lady of the Cross Parish in Holyoke, and a group of volunteers came up with a plan, creating Harmony House, where those facing death alone or without adequate caregiver support could live the remainder of their lives in comfort.
We're targeting the homeless, veterans, people who don't have anyone. Some never married, so they didn't have children. Their siblings have passed. They are very much alone.
Ruth says that in Harmony House, patients will be able to receive hospice care and live in a family setting.
Society is aging, and there are many more people now who are in need of special care. And if they don't have anyone at home to take care of them, or they don't have the financial resources to hire anyone, many of them are just placed in nursing homes. At least here, this will be a home where there will be someone all the time with them. It will be family.
This past December, the Board of Directors of Harmony House purchased a home at auction located on View Street in Chicopee with plans to gut the interior. Board member David Tatro says there is much work to be done on the property.
It's a very large home. It's 3,000 square foot, one story, that we're going to expand to make even bigger. It's going to be 4,000 square feet when we're done with it. We're going to have 8 bedrooms with a possibility of 10 bedrooms. Kitchen, living room, laundry room, chapel. It's going to be completely handicap accessible. It's going to be quite magnificent when we're done with it.
Harmony House is looking for volunteers like framers, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, and painters. And once warmer weather is here to stay, they plan to begin renovations with a goal of completing the project by the end of this year.
I have wonderful people, really, who have given so much of their time, their expertise, their love to see this vision become a reality. And we are nearing it every day, a little bit closer.
Harmony House was formed as a non-denominational Christian organization that plans to operate solely on donations, grants, and fundraising, taking no government money. So they will be free to offer their patients the opportunity to pray.
We're a multi-faith organization, but we are definitely a Christian organization. And we feel that in people's end days, the last 3 months of their life, that God is going to be a very important thing to be talking about, and we want to be part of that.
And once renovations are complete, furnishings will also be needed.
For donations, we'll need a washer, a dryer, we'll need appliances for the kitchen. A lot of this will depend on the donations that will be made. So far, we have 6 electric hospital beds that have been donated.
To get involved with the Harmony House, you can find a link to their website at iobserve.org. If you were ever involved in Teen Encounter or Yahweh, there's a reunion scheduled for Saturday, May 21st at Our Lady of the Lake Church, 224 Sheep Pasture Road in Southwick. The event will begin by attending the 5 p.m. Vigil Mass, celebrated by Father Henry Dorsch, host, pastor, and the first diocesan director of these ministries. Mass will be followed by a social gathering, sharing, and pizza supper in the parish hall. Attendees are asked to bring a dessert for the sharing table. To RSVP, you can call 569-0161. And finally, we would like to extend our warm welcome to the world to Killian Anthony Lynch. He was born April 14th, weighing in at 10 pounds, 1 ounce, and is the beloved grandson of our colleague Peggy Weber and her husband John. And Killian's parents, Carrie Weber Lynch and her husband Colum, are in for many happy days and maybe a few sleepless nights. And remember, you can keep up with all of the latest news on the Catholic Church, both here in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world by checking out iobserve.org. Also, you can friend us on our Facebook page. We are at Catholic Communications. I will see you next week on another edition of Real to Real, your window on the world around you. Have a good week.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.